This is the Sony ECM LV1. I'm not going to say too much about this lavalier before I go out and test it and show you how it works, because this isn't the sort of mic I would use indoors for speech. The reason being it's stereo, and also these capsules are omnis. So if they're omnis, then they're going to pick up reflections all over the place. But they're stereo, one microphone faces that way, one microphone faces that way, and basically it's a great microphone for picking up ambience. It really is, if you don't want to carry a big microphone around. It's a lovely color too, because it's black, thank goodness, and it doesn't show. It comes with a foamy. There's a foamy at last. We've got a foamy now to fit these kinds of lavaliers, because I have used these kinds of things before, but you can't get these lavaliers. I would like actually a little dead kitten for it in the same shape. That would be nice. The other thing is it can be, there's the clip. If I show you the clip, it can be swiveled so that the microphone can be swiveled on the clip. So you could have one microphone pointing up at you if you want to use this just for speech, and then cut off the other channel, which is quite nice. Has a good length lead, very useful, and at the other end a right angled plug. So that's it. It's a TRS plug on the other end. I use this actually mostly for capturing ambience when I really don't want to carry around a big stereo microphone. This is the sound of the microphone just pinned to my body, with the microphones pointing left and right. So we've got one going out. There's a little bit of a breeze, and I think it's actually probably picking that up, because this thing only comes with a foamy. There's no real dead cat with it. In the countryside, there's no peace for the wicked, I can tell you. There's always someone's got something going, and now there's a car coming. But the thing is when you're using a stereo microphone, the problem is that a stereo microphone will be picking up sounds around you. So for instance, the car's just gone by, and because the microphones are pointing left and right on me now, they're likely to be picking up quite a bit of noise. In fact, what I'm doing at the moment is I'm shielding that noise by using my body, but if I turn around the other way, it might become a little bit more apparent, although he stopped doing it at the moment, but it might become just that little bit more apparent. Now it's not got any shielding from my body. It's one of the things about living out here in the middle of nowhere as well. You always get people with generators, lawnmowers, and these hedge cutters. And there you go, the noise has now started up. It might be picking that up nice and clearly, because now I'm facing him. So hopefully my voice is getting over it at the moment. If it is, I'd be really pleased. I used the equivalent of the LV1 a long time ago. It used to really frustrate me in the days of when we were videoing with real film. I don't know if it was 16 frames or 24.5 frames a second, and we showed them on projectors. I used to make soundtracks on a tape, on a reel-to-reel. Obviously there was no way that I could sync voice with the film. No point of doing that at all. But I used to make sound effects and record around me the sounds and add the sounds to my videos. When it came to digital video though, I could put a microphone in, and the first microphone I got was an equivalent of this. It was a silver one, I think it's still around, in stereo, and I never used to go out without it. And actually it did a very good job. I was very pleased with it. So when I saw this one, I was really attracted to it, because nostalgia, because I used these years ago. Being a stereo microphone, it might be sensitive to movement of your head. So if I turn that way, there may be more sound going into the left capsule, and if I turn that way, there may be more sound going into the right capsule. And that's one of the difficulties of using a stereo mic for speech. It doesn't place the voice dead center where you see me in the picture. So a way around it is you can get this microphone, turn it around so one capsule is facing you, then in post only use that capsule. For this shot, what I've done is I've turned the microphone around, because it's on a little swivel, so it can turn, which is quite nice. So one microphone is pointing up at me and the other microphone is pointing at the ground. And then in post, what I'll do is I'll only take the sound from the top microphone, which will be louder hopefully than the bottom microphone, and then the sound won't move when I do this sort of thing, talk this way or talk that way. It keeps the image stable. I carry this mic around with me an awful lot actually, because it is stereo and it's so small, and I very often use it, just place it out here somewhere and pick up some ambience, put it into my camera, and then later use just the soundtrack to put on the back of my speech. So I'd leave it like this, picking up the ambience. This is the sound of the microphone when it's away from your body. Very often with lavaliers, they do sound quite different when they're away from the body. So that's from the front. Now, if I go to the side, I'm not going to get rejection. You're going to still be picking me up, you see. And that's the thing. That's from one side back to the front, and that's the other side. There's no rear ejection. It's an Omni, and there's not a lot I can do about it. As you can see, it comes with its own little foamy, and that's really nice. It's nice that they supply a foamy. I remember the old one, when it was a silver thing, I think it's still around, it didn't have a foamy, and you just sort of tried to hide it away. I used to put it under my shirt. It would be really nice if Sony could make a proper dead cat for this, because it's not a standard size. It's too big for most dead cats that are supplied for lavaliers, and it needs a bigger one. And if Sony could supply a bigger one that fitted over this would be absolutely superb outside. But thing is, you do have to watch out for wind sometimes, especially because it's only got a wind cover. I'll show you why. Here's the a little bit of wind, and now a hurricane, and this microphone can get affected very much so by the wind on it. So you have to be careful and choose your spot, which sort of limits you outside to choosing spots where it's shaded from the wind. Other than that, I'd have to change microphones to something else. So this is being used at the moment in what I call mono mode, where I face one microphone up, and then once I've got the microphone facing up and I speak, when I get home, I take that the lowest volume track off, and I use just a single track to place it into the mix so that my voice is dead center. Then very often afterwards, I might have taken a little bit of ambience from here in stereo, and then I'll put it underneath my speech to add to it. So I'm going to take some ambience now and do the same again. So this is being used at the moment in what I call mono mode, where I face one microphone up, and then once I've got the microphone facing up and I speak, when I get home, I take that the lowest volume track off, and I use just a single track to place it into the mix so that my voice is dead center. Then very often afterwards, I might have taken a little bit of ambience from here in stereo, and then I'll put it underneath my speech to add to it. So I'm going to take some ambience now and do the same again. Although it is a stereo mic, it's not stereo in the truest sense of the word, because both of the microphones are actually mono. They're not cardioids, and they're facing 180 degrees to each other. But it does give just a little bit more sense of space. So it gives a kind of pseudo stereo rather than the really split stereo that you can get from a proper stereo mic when it's set up. So this is a kind of a pseudo stereo, as I say, because of the way the mic is built, but it can give you a lovely sense of space. And that's the beauty of you taking this mic out when you're using even something else. What I'd do is I'd record my speech with, say, a Sennheiser mic or a Rode mic, and then I'd record the ambience for a minute or so with this, just to put that stereo tracker underneath, that pseudo stereo space sort of sound underneath. And that's the beauty of this microphone, and it's really so small. Right down the back there, that's Richard Stilgoe's house. It's a guy who used to appear on TV probably in the 60s, I think it was, with Esther Ranson, singing songs on a piano. And he lives down there by a lake that's full of geese. Now this is a real world test of walking in a breeze. I'm facing into a breeze now, and it's hitting me on the chest on the front. And if the microphone's going to react, it will now. This is a very light breeze. It's not a heavy sort of breeze, but it's enough maybe to set the mic off. So it's coming from the front right of the microphone. So the right capsule may be hit slightly more than the left. Of course, you've got your body to shield the sound as well, shield the wind. But when it's hitting you on the front, it's likely to take off a bit. Certainly the old one I had was very, very sensitive, as I say, and I used to put it under my shirt to cover it, or find something. Another trick you can do is to just get a dead cat, any old dead cat, and if it's windy, just stuff it in the dead cat. Give it lots of space, and it's virtually dead to wind then. So if you're recording ambience, it's handy to have a big standard sort of dead cat in your bag, so that if you're going to record ambience, put it in there and it's fine. It's absolutely fine. Just wish Sony would produce one that fits it. There's plenty of cable here for a reach, so I can really reach. That's my straight arm out, and the cable's still ducking out of the picture, which is quite nice. So there's plenty of cable too, which is good, but it's not too long so that it drags. So it's just about a good length of cable, actually. You know, I've just had a thought as well. What if makers of microphones gave you the choice of plug. You could choose a straight plug or a right angle plug, because this one has a right angle plug. And if I'm honest, it's really good on the Sony ZV-1 because it's really out of the way. So if you put the camera down on its side with a hand grip, that plug's not going to be damaged by whacking into a table. So I do wonder sometimes if we should be given a choice. Can we have a right angled or a straight plug? That'd be nice. I hope the video was useful to you, just demonstrating how the microphone could be used. As I said at the first, I wouldn't really use this for speech. I would actually go to my other lavalier, a mono one, and record in mono. And I would use my little clippy because I really like my little clippy a lot. But when I get when I've got time anyway, I might take this out and record ambience on this in sort of that vague sort of stereo you get with it because they're omnis, and use the ambience and put it underneath my speech to give that sense of place and where you are. Hope to see you next time. Cheers for now.